Hello everybody, this is Keagan here and welcome back to the channel, and I'm back with a brand new video for you guys. And welcome to another edition of Keagan's Movie Reviews. Now today I got two movies to review this time, so this is going to be another double feature review. And it's been a little while since I did a double feature review on this series. And both movies I'm going to be reviewing this time around are both movies I saw in theaters in the past weekend, and both of these movies came out last Friday. So the two movies I'm going to be talking about today are number one, The Many Saints of Newark, and number two, Titane. Both movies are ones I've been looking forward to for a while, and Titane actually happens to be the movie that won at this year's Cannes Film Festival in France. And The Many Saints of Newark happens to be the prequel to one of my favorite TV shows. So, I don't really have too much else to add, other than we're going to start with The Many Saints of Newark first, and then we'll move on to Titane. So, without further ado, let's get started, and let's dive into The Many Saints of Newark first. So, The Many Saints of Newark is the feature-length prequel film to the hit HBO TV series The Sopranos, which is a show that I'm sure some of you have probably heard of, or maybe even watched the series. Now, I want to start off by saying that I love The Sopranos. It's one of my favorite TV shows of all time. I'm actually currently rewatching it for the second time, and I'm actually currently on the third season at the time when I was recording this video. And, when I heard that there was a prequel film coming out, I was excited for it, but kind of concerned at the same time. Because, well, with all these reboots, revivals, prequels to shows or movies that ended years ago, not to mention that next year will be the 15th anniversary since The Sopranos ended, well, I wasn't gonna let my concerns prevent me from seeing the movie. So I went ahead and saw the movie on the same night it came out, and well, I'll get to my thoughts on that in a minute. Well, in a little bit. So anyways, The Many Saints of Newark was written by David Chase, who happens to be the creator of the Sopranos TV series, and was co-written by Lawrence Konner, with a K. And it was directed by Alan Taylor, who directed a lot of episodes for the Sopranos. And it was released on October 1st, 2021. So this movie came out about a week ago. And I actually saw this movie in theaters on the same day it came out at a late night screening of it. So let's dive into the storyline to the movie, and I'll give my thoughts on it. So The Many Saints of Newark takes place in Newark, New Jersey, which is where the TV series took place. And this movie takes place in Newark, New Jersey, like I said before, but it takes place sometime in the late 60s and sometime in the 70s. And it follows Dicky Moltisanti, who is actually a character who was never shown in the show, but he was mentioned, and he was actually the father of one of the main characters in the series, Christopher. And the movie was actually narrated by the actor who played Christopher, Michael Imperioli, or whatever his last name is. And it basically tells the origins of a young Tony Soprano, who is played by Michael Gandolfini, who, for those who don't know, Michael Gandolfini is actually the son of the late James Gandolfini, who James Gandolfini actually played Tony in the TV series, but sadly, James Gandolfini passed away of a heart attack in 2013 at the age of 51, and he'll never be able to see his son portray the character he once played as in the show. But anyways, back to the movie. So it basically takes place in the in the late 60s into sometime in the 70s, where a Dicky Monsanti is struggling to keep his ground with some rival gangs. And it basically tells how he became the influence to Tony and how Tony became a mobster. Well, that's basically the storyline of the movie in a spoiler-free way. Now for my thoughts onto the movie. So I want to start off by saying that I actually liked the movie for what it was, although it wasn't a great or amazing movie, and certainly not one of the best movies I've seen, and I definitely had some mixed feelings for it. The main problem I have with this movie is the direction of how the story, it's trying to go like trying to tell three different things in one movie, and the movie is only 2 hours long. And there are times it feels like it's kind of crammed on what part of the story it's trying to tell. Another issue I have with the movie, well, how it was marketed mainly. When the trailer first came out, it made it feel like it was going to center on Tony when he was a teenager. Well, most of the movie mainly centered on Christopher's father, Dickie. Well, Tony was basically sort of a side character throughout the movie. Well, you barely see him in the first half of the movie. He doesn't appear much. You don't see him much until much later into the movie. But that's not really too big of a deal for me, but it might be for some. But there are some good things I can say about this movie. I really like the set designs, and the acting was actually pretty well done, and it was well casted. Michael Gandolfini did a good job as the young Tony Soprano, and Vera Farminga did a good job portraying Tony's mother, Livia. And I think Vera Farminga was the closest to being similar to what the late Nancy Marchand did when she played Livia in the series, who, if you've seen the show, you know that she unfortunately passed away before the third season of the show was filmed. But I think Vera Farmiga did a good job as Livia Soprano. And John Bernthal, or however you say his name, the guy that played Shane in The Walking Dead and was in The Wolf of Wall Street, he did pretty good job as Johnny Soprano. And for the most part, I thought that this movie was pretty good, but it's definitely not for everyone. You might like this movie, you might not, especially if you're a fan of the TV series. And if you've never seen the show, this might seem like a mediocre mob movie to some, but if you've seen the show, you might like it for what it is, you might not. But for me, for the most part, I definitely had some mixed feelings for it, but I thought it was pretty good. There were some things I liked about it. There were some things I had problems. Well, the main problems was how the direction of how the story was being told and kind of how it was marketed. It was kind of confusing. It was going to make it look like it was going to center mostly on Tony, but it mainly centered on Christopher's father. But for the most part, I enjoyed the movie for what it is, although I don't really have too much else to add, but I will say this: if you haven't seen the show and are planning to watch this movie first, well, I would recommend you watch the TV show first, because at the very beginning of the movie there is a major spoiler involving the death of one of the main characters from the series. I won't say who it is, but I'll say that the character in question died around the second half of season 6. So just a heads up, if you're planning to watch the movie, there is one major spoiler from the TV show that's at the very beginning of the movie. But I don't really have too much else to say other than I like the movie for what it was. But I will say one more thing before we move on to Titane, that the way it ended kind of made it look like there was gonna be like a sequel or something, and hopefully there will be a sequel. And maybe if they do make a sequel to this movie, it'll center around Tony and his rise to power. Well, personally, I think this movie should have been a mini-series of some sort, but For what it's worth, I liked it, but I didn't necessarily loved it, and it's not one of the best movies I've seen all year, but I liked it for what it was. But if you're a fan of the series, you might like this movie, you might not. But I guess I could recommend it, but I don't really have too much else to say about it, so I'm just gonna give my rating for this movie, and then we'll move on to Titane. So I'm gonna give The Many Saints of Newark a 6.9 out of 10. So that's all for The Many Saints of Newark, and now on to Titane. So Titane is a French science fiction drama thriller directed by Julia Ducournau. Ducournau, I believe that's how you pronounce her name. And this is actually from the same director of Raw from 2017, which I haven't seen Raw, but I would like to check it out at some point. And like I said at the beginning of this review, Titane was actually the winner at this year's Cannes Film Festival in France. And this movie was released on October 1st, 2021, so it was released the same day as The Many Saints of Newark. And I actually saw this movie in theaters last Sunday. And, well, I gotta start off by saying that this movie has gotta be by far one of, if not the most bizarre movie that I think I've seen. Well, I'll get into why in a little bit. But for right now, let's get into the storyline of the movie in a spoiler-free way, and then I'll give my thoughts on it. So let's dive into Titane. So Titane follows a young woman named Alexia, and she's like a car enthusiast or something. And one night she literally has sex with a car that literally comes to life, and well, the car's just thumping and she's inside the car and she's literally banging the car. Well, the car is literally banging her, and it's not like a Transformers or any weird shit. And then somehow she gets pregnant with a humanoid baby of whatever or something. And she's not like a serial killer, but she kind of has like a tendency to kill certain people. She's not like a serial killer or anything, but well, she just kills certain people. I can't remember exactly why she did kill certain people, but anyways, she's on the run from the police and she's pregnant, and she poses as a young boy. Like, she cuts her hair and breaks her nose and tries to she basically grabs these like bandages and wraps it around her breasts and her baby bump to make it look like that she's a boy, to keep a low profile after the authorities are trying to look for her when she's wanted for a series of several murders. And then a retired firefighter believes that Alexia might be the firefighter's lost son. So Alexia goes along with it and goes by the name Adrian and lives at a firefighter place somewhere in France, and is trying to keep a low profile as long as she can while she waits for the baby to come out, because no matter what she does, she can't seem to get rid of the baby. But either way, she's gonna have the baby. And well, that's basically the storyline of the movie in a spoiler-free way. And, well, Titane, just wow, like, this has got to be one of, if not the most bizarre movie that I've seen in my life. Like, holy shit. But I gotta say, I loved every minute of this movie. The performances were great. I like the cinematography. It's visually stunning, and the music goes really well with the music. I mean, the movie, I meant to say, Jesus. And I really do like how the film looked and how it was well shot. And I think Julia Ducournau did a really good job directing it. I haven't seen her previous film, Raw, like I said before, but I will definitely check that one out someday. And I gotta say, when I first saw the trailer to this movie, I was thinking it was going to be something similar to David Cronenberg's Crash, which I did a review of that movie back in February. If you want to check that review out, link to that is in the description. But I was wrong. This is completely different. Well, I was thinking it was going to be similar to Crash, other than it's a movie about sex and cars. But no, this movie is completely different. Completely different. And it's probably the most mind-bundlingly bizarre movies that I think I've seen. And I'm trying really hard to not spoil it, but I will say the ending to this movie was like, holy shit. Well, I don't want to spoil the ending, but if you've seen the movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But I loved every minute of this movie, and so far it's one of my favorite movies that I've seen this year so far. And I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was a very well done movie, and it was definitely, and I forgot to say, this is actually the second foreign language film I saw in theaters. The other foreign language movie I saw was Parasite back in 2019. But I don't have too much else to add other than I really, really enjoyed this movie and I highly recommend it. But I definitely suggest you not watch this movie with your parents. But in conclusion, Titane, like out of the two movies I saw in theaters last weekend, this one is my favorite out of the two. But definitely check it out if you haven't seen it. I will definitely get it on Blu-ray whenever it comes out. And yeah, guys, so I'm going to give Titane an 8.5 out of 10. So that's it for Titane. So that wraps up another video. So thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys enjoyed it, please feel free to leave a like, leave a comment below, and subscribe for more videos like this. And feel free to follow me on Instagram and Letterboxd. The link to both will be in the description down below. And what are your thoughts on these two movies? Let me know in the comment section below. But yeah, guys, that's all I have to say. So thanks again for watching. I hope you guys have a great day. And until next time, this is Keagan Shepard signing off. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.